Who here has been to Prim Valley Resorts? Yes, Lauren, a few people in the room here. Prim Valley is being revitalized, okay? And it's a great location, as you said, on the way between California and Vegas. If you at least stop and get a Starbucks, you've got to stop there, right? So you should go and check it out. Anyway, we've got a very special guest tonight, Todd DeRemer, who is the new general manager from Prim Valley Resorts, Casino Resorts. So Todd's going to talk to you about how they use technology and how to build a high-performance culture within that environment, and it will apply to any business. All right. So welcome, Todd DeRemer. Everyone, give Todd a round of applause. Come on, be great hosts.
So again, Todd DeRemer. Casinos is all I know. I started in a casino when I was 21. And that's all I've done ever since. I'm not going to tell you how long, because then you know how old I really am. Now I'll tell you 35 years. So, been doing this a while, and I've done it in so many places that every time I go to a new place, I feel like I'm a consultant. And so everything I do there, I try and test, measure, and see what works. And it's really technology that does that. So I know that I can either help people in other locations, or when I go to the next place, I now have another tool in my bag of tricks to turn places around. And I've worked at several successful casinos, and I've worked at some that have been challenged. Prim is now at what I would consider a rebuilding phase. If you think of who's the football team that's won 2 games this year? I don't know who that is, because I don't even have time to watch football anymore. But
the Raiders.
But yeah, Raiders, right? I didn't want to pick on them, but you think about where the Raiders are, right? Their first move is to get a new head coach, and that's to lead the team. And so that's what happens in casinos a lot of times. So we're at a spot where they brought me in to turn the culture around, turn the business around, and figure out what strategy works. We're at a spot where we've closed Whiskey Pete's, we've closed Buffalo Bills except for on concert events, and we've right-sized for the business that we have today. And that's really where we're at. So I say we're at the rebuilding phase of, we now match the guests that we have, we now match the business levels we have. Now it's our job to grow that business back into Buffalo Bills, grow it back into Whiskey Pete's, and figure out how to do it at a staging process. A lot of places would say, okay, I think we're ready to open Buffalo Bills, and let's just go 7 days a week, 24/7. And next thing you know, you can't drive revenue past expenses. And that's how you get into a spot where we're at today, where it makes sense for us to open a casino on the weekends when we have 4,000 people for a concert. And we can't fit those people in one building. We have 1,200 rooms in Buffalo Bills, and we have a bunch of stuff there, but it also makes for a lot of overhead. So if you run it midweek, when you can't fill the rooms at Prim Valley, for example, we don't have the demand for a lot of reasons, and I'll talk a little bit about it, but it's not all about Prim today. I'm talking about, in general, how casinos use technology, and then things that I've used to turn cultures around into high-performance teams. Had a lot of great leaders that I worked for in the past that helped me do that. Something unique when everybody asks, what's unique about you? Something unique about me is I came from Minnesota, that's where I grew up, so I play hockey, obviously. But I also play goalie. So that's totally different than almost anything else. And so I've taken a lot of things that go with playing hockey and playing goalie into leading cultures, changing cultures, leading teams. Because if you think of the way a goalie works, they see the whole ice and they see the whole team doing things, but they lead from behind. Because they're never going to score a goal. They're not going to do anything other than hopefully save the game for you. And that's a leadership philosophy that's really servant leadership is what I would call it. So, all right, enough about that. Let's get into the presentation. Okay, a couple things, technology and gaming and building a high-performance culture. On or off? Are we lights or are we not lights? Okay, all right. So technology and gaming, what really happens, and this is simple culture, simple electronic stuff, it's simple technology. It's not technology that's cutting edge. That's not what guests really want in a casino standpoint. And then the next piece is how do we build a team that takes care of those guests, manages the business well. So the first one is, in creating that culture, it's creating a true sense of urgency. If the team at the executive level on down does not have a high sense of urgency, you will never be successful. It's not going to happen. So that's the first thing that comes with this culture piece. The next one is building value-oriented leadership culture. And, sorry, water. So, one of the things we did, and I worked at Prim, and then from there I went to work at Excalibur. And that executive team, 4 of us we started at Prim and then we went to Excalibur. We created a culture there that we called 100% from 100%. And so what that means, it's not how do I create accountability and drive people to give their 100%. It's how do I create a culture that you feel valued enough that you want to give 100%. And so your 100% and his 100% are totally different, but how do we get you to that 100%? And that's the key. And so it's about leadership. It's about how the team culture feels. It's about how you feel going to work every day. And I tell people, I talk to every orientation, wherever I'm at, and I tell people in orientation, if there's a day where you come in and you don't feel like giving 100% because it's the team, it's your supervisor, you need to tell someone. Because we need to fix that so you can come to work, feel the best you can, and give 100%. Sounds easy. And then it's developing and achieving wildly important goals. And I'll talk about what wildly important goals are when we get there. We call them WIGs. And so when I do this, there's 3 books that I like to use in creating this culture. So the first one is A Sense of Urgency. The next one is Developing the Leader Within You. Hopefully you've seen some of these books at least. They're pretty mainstream and been using these books a long time. I think I started with the original Developing the Leader Within You in 1999. So they've been around a while. Philosophies are good. And then the last one is 4 Disciplines of Execution. And that's really the goal setting and how to really achieve what you want to achieve. All right, so technology and gaming. I focus just on what the guests really see and feel. And so what this means is, by now everybody that's ever been in a casino knows that there's player tracking. You put a card in, and that card does a bunch of stuff. It tells the casino a bunch of stuff, and it also gives you rewards. And so with that card, we now know everything you do within the casino. And what that means is we'll know what your favorite machine is, and we'll know what machine to recommend to you because that's your favorite machine and the math of this machine is similar to that one. And that's if you teach your team well, that's where the leadership comes in, because most places don't push that piece to get down to that level. So we use technology to say, okay, my favorite machine is Buffalo Gold. And so if that's your favorite machine, when a casino host pulls you up, it'll show 5 machines to recommend. And a casino, people know what casino hosts are? So a casino host takes care of the better players within the casino. And their job is to get them to come in one more time. And I tell casino hosts their job is to part people with their money. It's as simple as that. That's what we want you to do. Get them in one more time. Get them to play longer. Whatever it takes, do that. And if they know that's their job and it's that simple, now they know what to do when they go on the floor. They know what to do when they call someone. You just got to break things down to that easy for people when they do their jobs. So that one. Then it focuses a lot on service and transactions. And that's what casinos use it for. So as soon as you hit a jackpot, the system will tell you, get us out there, whatever it takes. If there's a service need, runs out of paper. It used to be back in the day when it ran out of coins and that stuff. So that's what the system does by linking them all together. It also provides a lot of great accounting information and all that stuff. So this system does a lot for casinos. Then it tells you the true value of a guest, right? So before, if you didn't have a player's card, we would have to observe on the floor and see what you play and make an assumption of what your value was to the casino. Now we know exactly what the value is, and we know who are the valuable players and who aren't. It also tells us the abusers of things like free slot play. Everybody knows casinos give away free slot play, and there's people that abuse them, and so we can find that stuff to mitigate the loss for the casino as well as reward the good players. And so technology does a bunch of things to improve the ROI for a casino that didn't used to happen. And then it's the gateway, as I said, to every marketing program within the casinos. And some of this stuff, it's technology, but it requires the human interaction. So I know we're here talking about tech, but I'll give you an example. So there's systems out there today that when you reach a certain level of loss at a slot machine, it will automatically throw free play in your slot machine. It'll say, you've now earned X amount of free play, and you can download it and play it. Well, what we've done at other locations is I would rather have the system tell a team member, you've now hit a certain threshold, go out there, talk to them, and tell them we'll give them free play. And so difference of the machine just pops up with your free play, or a team member comes over and says, hey, we notice your experience isn't quite what we've thought you should have so far. We're going to give you some extra free slot play to turn it around. And so you've now changed it into a guest interaction versus just a piece of technology that's going to do the work for them. So blending the two together is really key from a casino standpoint. And it's all about relationship building. And all of the successful casinos you see, that's where they go the extra mile. They know that they can win at one customer at a time. I'll give you an example. You just walk through a casino, not a very big one. Think about if we added 10 players to the slot floor every day. That's now a 10% increase in what you have. It doesn't take a lot of people in a facility, so it takes just a little extra work to get there. And that's what successful casinos do versus just average casinos. And that's the real-time rewards incentive. So you can see where they're at, you know where they're at. I like to think of it as, so slot math is, theoretically, when you play a machine, you'll lose $1,000. You could win $1,000, you could lose $2,000, doesn't matter, but theoretically over time, you'll lose $1,000, let's say. And that math is built on every program you do. So if you're theoretically going to lose $1,000, but the math of the machine wasn't very successful at creating an experience and you lost $5,000, are you about ready to leave? Like, yeah, that hurt. I don't want to do that again. But if you get to that $5,000 and you're still on the floor and a host catches you and says, hey, I'm going to give you $500 of free play. Hopefully you improve that experience. I catch you before you walk next door. And that's where human stuff comes in with the technology combined. And that's what has to happen. Technology alone can't do the stuff for us. And really, it can grow masses through tech, but it can't grow the high-value players. And that's what casinos need to do. All right, we'll shift to building high-performance culture. So the key, there's a bunch of stuff for high-performance culture, but everybody says, hey, I'm a general manager, I build high-performance teams. And you can say that all you want. But it requires getting more from every leader all the way down to a supervisor. And if you're a top leader that can get all the way to the front line and get those folks to perform 10% better, that's where you have a high-performance culture. And you have to catch every person along the way, and all of their goals have to be in alignment. And the company culture has to be in alignment as well. So that's really what you'll hear between the three phases. And everywhere I've been over the past decade, I come into a place, the first book I do is A Sense of Urgency, and I teach urgency. And the reason is that because if they can pick up the urgency, we now start hitting revenue faster. And every day you miss something, you missed revenue. And I teach people that. I'll give you a great, sorry, I'm all casino math, but I'll give you a great example. So if I'm standing at the Players Club to get a player's card, and I'm standing there 10 minutes, theoretically, the average player loses $1 a minute. That's their worth to the casino. So obviously that's assuming you have endless wallet and you have all of this other stuff. But if I can teach a team member, if they wait an extra 5 minutes, that's $5 to our property. And if you multiply that by 100 players, quick, easy math gets you to a spot where now team members understand why I got to be faster. Not because I'm telling you to work harder and work faster, it's because you're invested in the business and you're able to know why I want you to move quicker. And that's where that stuff comes in. You have to teach team members why they should do everything. As soon as they know the why, then they're invested. If you just say, hey, I need you to move quicker because the line's too long, what does that tell you? But if I tell you, if you move quicker, that means $5 more from every person in that line. And if you break simple math down, that starts to where every person in an organization is aligned because they now know what it means to everybody else. And if you use a dealer, for example, everybody knows table games, the best thing about dealers is they get paid on tips. And so to motivate dealers to deal faster is it's more tipping opportunities. And so you have to know how to lead people on what really matters to them most. And if it's money, it's money. understand what that is and work your way to that as a leader. So, sense of urgency. One of the biggest things you'll find in an organization, and I'm not talking about all the stuff in the books, but you'll see, is complacency and a false sense of urgency. Complacency is, oh, we've already tried that. We tried that 5 years ago. Won't work. Well, how do I know that you executed it well and you didn't just try it and check a box? Like, you can say, yeah, we've already done that. We checked a box, but the execution was poor, and you're going to try and convince me to not try it again. So, got to make sure that there's not complacency and a false sense of urgency. Who's worked at companies where there's like 5 meetings a day and you didn't resolve anything in any of those meetings? Right? Yeah, that's a false sense of urgency. You see a bunch of people running around doing stuff, but you didn't accomplish anything. I've worked at places where people literally left their car there over the weekend to look like they were working as an executive, but they weren't even there. Like, I don't care how long you're here. I want you to work and be productive. I worked for a great CEO that said, if you can't get your job done in 40 hours, you're doing something wrong. And that's the way it should be. You shouldn't have to work 16 hours a day to get everything done. You got to learn how to be more effective. I'd rather have you there at 8 and get a lot of stuff done well than get a bunch of stuff done, but you check the box and it doesn't do me any good. I'll give you an example. This is the best one I've found so far. So at Prim, we have 3 gas stations, had 3 casino hotels. We have restaurants. We have restaurants in the parking lot. Used to have a mall. That's the Prim family's mall. That's not ours. So don't hate me for it being closed. But they had all that stuff. And so they said, hey, let's create a program to get you in the Players Club by giving you $10 in free slot play. But I'm a trucker, and I'm at the truck stop across the street, and I can't get my truck over to Prim. Am I going to go over there for $10? No, right? So yeah, we created a program to get people in the Players Club, but it's actually not effective because as soon as a guest has to work at it, they're not going to do it. And so now there's a kiosk at the truck stop where you can sign up for the club, the cashier can put your free play on, and you go to the machines in the truck stop. Now you don't have to go anywhere. Now we can generate revenue from truckers that we couldn't be before because of that type of stuff. So it's, yes, we have a program, but make sure it's an effective program. Increasing a true sense of urgency. The book has 4 tactics, and I won't cover all of them. This is the one that I usually like to teach people in casinos specifically. So it's called bringing the outside in. And so when you're in an organization, how do you get new ideas from the outside? So there's a bunch of ways to do it. Sometimes you hire from the outside because you need talent you want to bring in or you want a different perspective. Listen to guests. They know what's happening on the outside. They know what's happening in other casinos. And listen to your frontline team members. Guests are telling them, but to bring the outside in, you have to listen to them. And the last thing I teach people is everywhere you go, you'll see something on the outside that you can apply to wherever you work. If you go to the grocery store and you see something that's a neat idea and it can translate into a casino, then do it. Like, it's not just because it's in a grocery store, don't do it in a casino. Stuff applies. Behave with urgency every day. It's the phrase, if you can do it and get it done now, do it now. Get it over with. Get it done. And if it impacts revenue from the business standpoint, really do it now. I tell people I work 8, 9, 10 hours a day, but I don't kill myself anymore like I used to. But if there's something that's going to generate revenue, I'll stay the extra hour. I might not stay the extra hour for administrative paperwork because I can do it tomorrow. But understand what's urgent, and if it matters to the organization to improve it, then get it done and get it done now. Finding opportunity in crisis. Perfect example. That's where I'm at today. I got there a month after we shut down Buffalo Bills, moved over to Prim, and all we have is guests saying Buffalo Bills is my favorite place. And so, right? It's my favorite place, but there wasn't enough of them to keep it open. So it's get it back to a spot where you understand what's really important and understand that a crisis will motivate people. It will. There's a part of the book that talks about creating a false crisis. It's a tough spot because at the end of the day, if the crisis isn't real, your team will figure that out. So COVID was probably the best thing that was a crisis that everybody had to find opportunity in. We closed all the casinos, came back and opened them 90 days later, and you had to figure out how to do things different. That was a crisis that created opportunity. The year after we reopened from COVID, there's probably the most profitable year for any casino you will ask. Because there was government money and you had to figure out how to take it and get it. Some casino operators will say, well, the first piece of government money that went out, casinos were closed still. So we didn't even get an opportunity at that one. But that's the type of stuff that you have to figure out. Is it a crisis? What can we do? And how do we make it better based upon that crisis? And then tactic 4, deal with the no-nos. How many people work in an organization where every time you talk to that team member, we can't do that. It won't work. Bob will never do it. Anybody work there? Right? So you have to figure out the no-nos. And once you build this in your culture, it's funny because you'll be in a meeting and they're like, hey, there's a no-no. And they just know. So you have to do one of two things. You have to figure out how to turn them around, or you have to understand that they need to work somewhere else. And I usually use the phrase, they should just park their car at another casino. Because at the end of the day, we don't need them on the team if they're not going to be on board, and they're not going to treat our guests well, and they're not going to do what we need them to do. So deal with them. That's the 4 tactics for creating a false sense of urgency. Sounds easy, takes a little bit of work behind it. But if you build the plan around what the book outlines, you will get there and you'll create an organization that really hits the goals that you need to, just based upon urgency alone. And then keep up the urgency. It's an everyday thing. You have to make sure you build it in the culture so you keep it up. Am I running way over? I'm good? Okay. All right, building a value-oriented leadership culture. So I said it's 100% from 100%. And it's create a culture that every team member, top to bottom, comes in and wants to feel like they're valued enough to give their 100%. And if they give their 100%, they know it makes a difference. People will recognize them, and they will be rewarded accordingly. So the book I use is now Developing a Leader Within You 2.0. Used to be just regular Developing a Leader Within You. Ironically, the person in 1999 gave me this book. He didn't believe in half the stuff in the book. He's like, this isn't true. But no, there's a lot of great stuff in it. Understanding your influence, and understand that as a supervisor, leader, manager, business owner, you have much more influence in team members' lives than you understand. As you go through the book, you'll see that it's like 15% of team members go to their supervisor for advice. And so that's not even work stuff. They just trust you enough as you built that over time to ask you for advice, and that's the leadership. Once you get to that spot, now you can go to them on a Saturday night when the floor is burning down because you're overrun with business and say, hey, I need you to do this, and they'll stay and do it. But you have to build that up front before you come on the back end and want the performance. Creating positive change. This is really teaching the team the why. Why are we changing? We're always going to change. And so you got to teach them, this is why we do it. Like, I got out to Prim, and we had no programs to get people in the Players Club other than if you walked up to the club and signed up. We had no proactive club enrollments. And if anybody that knows casinos, they live and by the database today. Because once we get you in there, we can get you to come back. That's all we got to do. We need to get you once, and we'll figure out what it takes by the time we're done to get you to come 2 times a month versus 1. And if you think about that, now I can get you 3 times. I've now grown my business 3 times by doing that by X amount of guests. And so that's all casinos need to do. And they want you to come in. They know what you're worth. Every time you come in, if you spend that much, we will do what it takes to get that. And that's how we'll build the business model. And that's what tech does. Casinos are math, if you haven't figured that out yet. From everywhere you go, it's just math. I teach teams, it's just very simple math. If you bring 10 more customers in and they're all worth X, we've now grown our business by X. And so treat that guest that they're worth X. Harrah's back in the day before it was Caesars used to teach their team, the life cycle of a guest was 7,800. And that was in 1996 that they taught that. So that tells you what guests are worth over time. Who knows what it is now based upon everything else and the way technology is. But yeah, if you can tell your team members that's $7,800 standing in front of you, how are you going to teach them? Treat them. Treat them well. Treat them like they're worth to the business, and now they understand why they do it. You should do the service because it's the right thing to do, but on the back end, you know, hey, they're worth this to the business. Having a positive, contagious attitude. There's the opposite, right? a negative contagious attitude, but as a leader, you got to be passionate, energy, enthusiastic. It has to be something that your team catches from you. If I'm out on the floor and we're giving away whatever, I've done a promotion where it's called Win Todd's Money. Like if I'm doing that stuff on the floor, team members know that I'm out there with the guests because they're value to the organization, and I'm going to be out there. I'm going to be the face of the organization. If there's a guest that's upset, send them my way. I'm fine. I'll deal with them. I'll sit down on the slot machine next to you after valet just smashed your car. Happened, real story. And I'll explain to you that, because they don't know, they're playing on the slot floor and the car's now smashed. I'm going to sit down and tell you at the slot machine and explain what happened and tell you how we're going to fix it. And I'm going to tell you, hey, we're going to put you up in the hotel. We got restaurants. We'll do all that stuff. And I said, and we're going to put some free play on your account. Guess what they said? When's the free play going to be there? That's all they care about. They want to do what they came to do, which is gamble. And so you just have to understand that. Positive servant leadership. So the key to this is, as a leader, you have to be able to get top to bottom. When I went back to Prim. I worked there from 2000 to 2005 when it was MGM owned it. It wasn't Mirage then. It was just MGM when they owned it, and very successful. All 3 casinos were running. We had 4,000 slot machines between the 3. We used to beat MGM Grand on Saturdays with coin in. That's the volume piece. We used to be able to do that. That's how busy we were. And then now I came back 20 years later to something totally different. So I can paint the picture of what we were. I won't say we're going to get back there, but I can tell you I know what we did to build it back then. And that's one of the reasons they brought me there. So, but it's getting to the team member. Sorry, I got sidetracked. But so I get back there. There's a cocktail server that remembers me from back when I was the slot VP there. And she says, "You're much thinner now." And I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Like, yeah, I guess. But no, you build that relationship. They understand you. They know you. They recognize you. The same person said, "Well, now you've talked to me more than the previous GM did in a year." That's the difference between the two. They want to see that. They want to know. If they ask you a question, just give them the honest answer. I won't tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you the answer, and I'll say, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to tell you anything different. We just can't bring the roller coaster back because it's going to cost $3 million to bring it back, and it made about $100,000 in profit a year." Who's going to do that, right? We're not going to do that, but I'll tell them that so that they understand the honest reason, not, well, maybe it'll open, because we know it won't. Things like that. Having a compelling vision, that's one of the reasons I went back to Prim. Was I saw what it was. I know how we can get back to some version of that. Doesn't mean we'll get there, but you have to be able to sell your vision, and it has to be your vision first for the organization before you can sell them on it. So there's one reason that I tell everybody who works in a casino, you need to get them in the Players Club. And I just told you that so we can grow a business. And if I'm a slot person working on the slot floor paying jackpots, do I want more people on the floor? Yeah, because now my tips are better because I'm paying more jackpots. And so it's have the vision that relates to the person that's at that spot in the organization. You have to know how to do that. It helps if you've worked in most of the jobs in the casino. I started as a slot technician fixing slot machines at 21, and I went through all of this stuff on the floor, so I'm much different. I call myself a blue-collar GM. I'm not a GM that stays in the office. I like for guests to have my phone number. Can you hook me up with whatever? Yeah, I'll do that type of stuff. So they know who it is. And it makes guests and team members both feel important if they can get to the person at the top. And if they can have a real conversation. Not in the office, I'm sitting behind a desk. It's I'm in the cocktail server station talking about stuff. And it's not about business stuff. It's, hey, how long have you worked here? What can we do better? What do you like? What's that kind of stuff that really matters to people? I can go out there and talk about how many drinks did you serve or whatever it is. But they want to know you're invested in them and you care about the person, not just someone that's doing transactions. And then focus on personal growth. Develop the people. There's a phrase, develop the people, develop the organization. Several organizations that do that. Has anybody heard of Rapport International? Right? Rapport International, it's been a long time since I've been in Vegas, but we used Rapport International at Prim, and then when we went to Excalibur, same executive team, we went there as well. And we had a great president, Renee West, probably the best president I've ever worked for. There's a GM I worked for in California that's probably equal. But those type of leaders are the ones you learn from, and you learn a little bit from everybody, and that's how you become a great leader, and that's what you need to do. Every interaction with someone that supervises you, learn something, and if you think they're an awful supervisor, learn what you don't like about them and just don't do it. But that's what it means to learn from everybody you interact with. But focus on personal growth and team growth, right? Every day you should be doing something to improve your skill set. And leadership is one of those things that, are there born leaders? Think they're born leaders? I don't know. I think it's a skill. So are you born with a skill? Probably not. You probably learned it somewhere, I guess. Someone taught you. Your parents taught you to leadership skills. Someone taught you something to be a leader, at least in my opinion. There's people that interact great with people and they can influence people naturally, but are you a natural born leader? I don't know. So, okay, next one.
5 minutes, Todd.
5? Okay, I'll fly through this. So this is probably, you do the other two, and you have to focus on the other two well. It takes a long time to get to this piece. I'll tell you that right now. But it's developing and achieving wildly important goals. A wildly important goal is something that will drastically change the business. So for me, if you haven't figured out by now, a wildly important goal is get more people in the database. I can't grow the business without it, so make sure everybody does it. So there's 4 disciplines. Focus on the wildly important. So wildly important is something that really will improve the business overall. It will really drastically improve it. So that's something that you have your regular job, then you do this. Act on lead measures. So what that means is you develop a goal, you develop a measurement for it, and then you figure out what is the lead measure, what happens before you get the report to influence it. So if I said, I want the people on the slot floor to do more Players Club signups, the lead measure is how many people did you talk to about the Players Club. If I know that you talked to more people today than you did yesterday about the club, chances are we'll have more signups. And that's the type of stuff that you have to figure out. You have to figure out what can that frontline team member do that will affect the results so that they can do it every day. And you know that if they do this, they will do it. So think of weight loss. What's a lead action? What's a lead measure? Less calories? I know if I eat less and I exercise, that's going to create results in weight loss. That's what you have to figure out. Something simple like that for any goal that you're trying to drive from an organization. Keep a compelling scorecard. That's what I said. The best scorecards for this is a frontline team member says, if you want me to get more signups, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And if they develop the scorecard, the measurement, they now own it, and they will do it. Create a cadence of accountability. Most of the time, once you develop the scorecard, you figure out how the team is. They meet, and they talk about what they did every week to hit their goals. And then you have the team hold them accountable. And when I say hold them accountable, that doesn't mean, hey, Bob's failing. What that means is, hey, Bob's having trouble reaching his goals. What can the rest of the team do to help Bob? And so that's the accountability. It's not pushing accountability, it's support accountability. And then it has to be a daily thing. You have to be focused on your wildly important goals every day to make sure you hit them from a success standpoint. And then now the Prim stuff. So I told a couple people, we on Friday launched this special. So if you come out to see Prim, we have a burger and a beer for $7. It's a pretty good special. For those of you that eat burgers, it's pretty good. So you can't go to McDonald's, I think, and get a burger for $7. So, and this will be a real burger. It's 24/7. We just launched it. Also coming up is the Mint 400, which is March 4th through the 8th. The Mint 400 is a desert race that's right behind Prim. So that happens every year at Prim, and so be ready for that. You should come out. They do some stuff on Fremont. They do some stuff out there. Super cool. We're activating free live entertainment on the floor that's better than most. It's Fremont Street entertainment.
Just a quick question. The second airport is going to affect you.
It will.
Also, the Amtrak.
It will.
Train. So, why not focusing on external factors and built in within your company.
We are.
And it also,
Yeah, yeah.
also, I read the MGM report. Most of their customers are actually from California. And you're so close to California, so you should have an edge over these
We do.
people.
So 20% of our players come from Henderson, Las Vegas. Most of the rest is Southern California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So focus on that side, and you bring a lot more customers.
we do. So
Are you in marketing?
No?
Oh,
yeah. So,
Okay, thank you for the advice.
So think of this. I'm driving down the freeway from California to Las Vegas. I'm going to stop for a $7 burger. Now I got you in the building. Now I'm going to do everything I can to get you in the Players Club, right? Because I want you back and back.
Well, I used to stop by
Yeah.
for shopping, but
I know, we don't have a mall.
There's nothing there anymore,
Yeah,
unfortunately,
I
but
know.
hopefully soon.
So,
right?
and then we got some shows coming up. So I talked just briefly about Buffalo Bills. So we have 2 entertainment sites. The Star of the Desert Arena, which is a 5,500 seat arena. It's comparable to the arena at the Orleans if you want to figure out what it's like. It's almost identical to that, except for we've never had hockey there, which is a bummer. So it's like the Orleans Arena. So we have a Valentine's show. We also have Bronco, a Latin act, February 21st. And then this Saturday, we have a Banda act in our Prim Event Center, which is a convention space, which is 22,000 square feet. Big. We can fit 2,000 in there, but when we set them up for this like a show, we'll have about 600 seats. And then the rest is standing or only GA. And then we have the Elvis impersonator. I already told the story about this, but we have an Elvis impersonator on February 7th. And what makes us different is we're going to be the best casino destination for whether it's Southern California or Las Vegas for promotions and entertainment. And so you're seeing some of the entertainment. Well, when we do entertainment, we try and put promotions with the entertainment. So on this day, when Elvis is performing in the convention center, we're going to have a promotion on the casino floor, and we're going to give away Elvis glasses with chops. And so if you're wearing those on the casino floor and we draw your name through technology, you're going to get an extra bump. So the whole slot floor will have a bunch of people in Elvis glasses and chops. It's just going to be fun. And we're going to give away a bunch of money, but it'll be cool because you'll be on a floor with a bunch of Elvises. It doesn't matter who it is. And so that's the stuff we do. We're also in that show doing an Elvis impersonator contest. The winner gets to perform a song with the Elvis on stage.
Ooh.
So we try and do fun things like that it's not just a show. You'll come and see some cool stuff at the same time. And I think I reached the end.
Yeah, and now I just want to make a point, everybody. Everything that Todd's talking about applies to all of your businesses, right? So he's applying it to hit the business he knows, which is casino business. But I mean, all of this great information he's given you, really, if you listen to it well, you can apply anything he's talked about to any type of business that you are operating, because you all have customers, you all have employees, I hope, or some have employees, or you own your own employee, but how you treat your customers matter, your own mindset matters. So take what he said and apply it, and it'll help you be successful. Does anyone have any questions for Todd last minute before we go to the next speaker?
I have one question about your leadership.
Yeah.
Saying not born with the skills of leadership. Do you need a title to be a leader?
No, absolutely not.
Thank you.
So leadership is influence, and you can be a positive or a negative influencer. You need to know on your team who each of them is, all the way down to the front line. That negative influence, that no-no, if you can win them over, you've now created a really inspirational leader, because every team member will go, he doesn't do anything. Now you got him doing that, must be something good.
Thanks, Hans. That was a great question.
Go
You
ahead.
guys have a single deck, double deck?
We don't even have table games right now.
Oh,
That's how far backwards we went. They pulled out table games when they closed Buffalo Bills. So we will have table games again. It's a little bit of a challenge because not only did they pull out table games, they destroyed all the table games chips.
what do you
I know. I said, who does that? An accountant and a lawyer. An accountant and a lawyer were in charge of the company back then, and that's what happened. Go ahead.
What do you anticipate the rules to be when you do roll it back out?
3-2 blackjack, obviously. The way, so I've been doing casinos a long time, and I've been doing table games a long time. I want the game to be fast for a gambler, and I want it to be fair. So if you have 6 side bets on this layout, it's going to go so slow that the true gambler's like, I don't want to play this. And so things like that we will do, and we will make sure that the game's dealt well. Like 2
Go
minutes.
ahead, go
So,
ahead.
Excalibur, we created the first party pit. I know downtown says they created the first party pit, but they didn't. We created a party pit, and it sounds very strange that we had a party pit in Excalibur, the family hotel, with go-go girls on a stage. Sounds weird. And as soon as you walked in, that's what you saw. But it was also right outside of Dick's Last Resort, which anybody that knows Dick's Last Resort knows a party pit would go with that. But we used our dealers to deal because we wanted the game to be fast, fair, for a good gambler, and then we had entertainment in the background. That's the difference. When you bring, and I've worked at places that have go-go girls dealing and all that stuff, and that there's a place for that. But if you're a true gambler, that's not what you want. So I want a true gambler to play in my building and see the entertainment too. And so you can offer both, and that's the balance that some people forget. I talked to somebody that put in a party pit, and this guy said, yeah, and they can almost add to 21 now, the dealers we trade. And that was the perception, right? I was like, oh, okay. That's their mindset. If you're going to do it, train him, make him effective, and make him a great dealer then. But we keep the two separate, or we have in the past, just because of that. Any other table games questions, quick? We'll never have poker. I'll answer that question.
So guys, if none of you have stopped recently over there, I suggest that you do. I went and visited the properties, and I was actually very impressed. There's some great venue space there as well, so if anyone's looking to host events. And I'll tell you, it took me less time to get there than it takes me to get to the stripping park.
For sure.
So, yeah, because it's just a straight road on the 15, so it's so easy to get to. So if you're looking for, a nice night of gambling, you can get to Prim Resorts really easily. It's free parking, and, so I'm doing a quick promo for you here.
What?
Or a $7 burger and beer.
Oh, there you go,
Yeah.
$7 burger and a beer. Don't you have some tickets here to give away as well?
I do have
All right, so at the
tickets.
front desk, if anyone's interested in any of these shows, right?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
10 tickets for 3 different shows.
Okay, so if anyone's interested, go see Diane at the front desk. Todd, thank you so much.
Awesome,
We
thank you.
appreciate it. Todd, a round of applause. Thank you.